Okay, so we might just go rapid fire here because we have a lot of news and notes in regards to the Vancouver Canucks that I wanted to talk about today. Starting out with everything we're hearing about tomorrow's Canucks versus Lightning game. The Vancouver Canucks have traveled. They are in Tampa. Of course, this was going to be a little bit of a difficult trip when you consider the effects of Hurricane Milton. This caused the Tampa Bay and Carolina game earlier last week to actually get postponed. So obviously there are still going to be lingering effects of that hurricane in the area. Of course, we wish everybody safety and proper recoveries to those who were affected. Either way, the Vancouver Canucks are in Tampa now, and starting things out, we had a tweet from Dan Murphy going over how Tyler Myers is indeed on the ice for Canucks practice in Tampa Bay. This is a really good sign, and it kind of confirms what was talked about a few days ago, that Tyler Myers would be in the rough day-to-day category instead of having some sort of a bigger, longer-term, week-to-week, month-to-month kind of injury after his collision in the opening minutes of the Philadelphia Flyers game. That was a really unfortunate incident. It happened with Joel Farabee. He was taken out and removed. He didn't play for the rest of the game. He only had like a minute time on ice played. Murphy then went out there and tweeted out some of the line combinations here. My best guess is Boeser, Miller, Baines, Heinen, EP, DeBrusk, Höglander, Ratu, Garland, Sherwood, Blueger, and Suter, with Daniel Sprong as the extra. The defense have all been rotating. So, not only is Tyler Myers included in Vancouver Canucks practice, but there also was a bunch of movement with the forward lines. Having Arshdeep Baines as the guy with Miller and Boeser is incredibly interesting to me. I have no idea how that line is going to work, assuming that's exactly what they go with in the Tampa game. But Arshdeep Baines has really improved over the past few months here. His cup of coffee with the Canucks back last season is a totally different player compared to what he is now, compared to what he had showed off in the preseason and what led to him getting called up by the Canucks in general. If he gets a chance with Miller and Boeser to open up his 24-25 campaign, then I hope he really makes the best out of it. Seriously. He's got work ethic, he's got drive, he can win battles, he can put himself in the right areas. If Boeser and Miller are able to use their All-American American magic to capitalize on Baines' off-puck skill, then watch out, Tampa. All the other lines seem to be pretty new as well. Danton Heinen alongside of EP and DeBrusk, so EP with the two Boston guys, Ratu, Garland playing together alongside of Nils Höglander. That's going to be a really interesting line. Lots of work ethic and effort on that one. And then Sherwood with Blueger and Suter. Honestly, just a really stable line. I mean, you can see what Tocchet is doing, just switching things up, trying to get some new chemistry, trying to really establish connections with these guys. Tocchet said last year that the big thing that he wanted to work with was the idea of pairs. Miller-Boeser, that's a pair. I guess now you're scrambling things around because Garland and Joshua was always supposed to be a pair, but of course there is no Dakota Joshua right now. And then having Daniel Sprong as the extra guy too, that isn't really all too surprising when you consider his missed assignments and just what warts exist in his game already. Not too surprising that Rick Tocchet is going to use this as an opportunity to sit him out and see if there's any improvement there. This is not new territory for Daniel Sprong. It's going to be a long and treacherous path to become the best player that he could be. I did see some people going out there and complaining about, oh, like, look at that, Arshdeep Baines is a first-line player now. Like, what does that say about the team? That a rookie is all of a sudden being entrusted with a top-6 role like this. And I don't know necessarily if that's a fair assessment to make, because if the Canucks wanted to use any of their bottom 6 guys over Arshdeep Baines, like obviously you'd say, okay, Connor Garland is probably a more polished and better player than Baines. Same thing with Nils Höglander. Heck, you could say the same thing about Pius Suter. This is all about spreading the wealth around. We are getting all Stalin on you, baby. We want to see this team diversify its assets and have consistent, productive play throughout. They don't want to just stack everything up on one line, have an all-American, American line with Garland, Boeser, and Miller. Anyways, this seems to be the tail of the tape heading into the Tampa game, but what I also wanted to talk about were some comments made by Rick Tocchet heading into tomorrow's showcase. This article was published earlier this morning by Ben Kuzma. The Canucks schedule, we've got to start going through people. We're not battling hard. This will be linked in the description. It's on the observer.ca. There are some comments made by Rick Tocchet here, talking about how the Canucks have been lazier. I don't know, and I'm not pointing fingers at the players, but they were both winnable games against Calgary and Philadelphia he's referring to. We have to get our staples really quick. We've got to start going through people, and I don't think we're battling as hard as we should. It is early, but we've got to get to it. There are some things that we have to go over, and it's like people getting traded. It takes a while. But we could have been up 3-0 against Philly on Friday, and we lose 2 games. We've just got to be careful. Can we play better? Yeah. Can we be better coverage-wise? Yeah. I think that is talked about in spades when it comes to Daniel Sprong and his missed assignment. Also, Elias Pettersson had a little bit of a brain fart on one of the other Philadelphia goals too. So that, of course, is going to be talked about. For me, it's the simple things. It's our line changes, and I don't like them this year. And our guys are overextending and staying out there for 50 seconds. We're doing stuff that we didn't do last year for the majority of the time. And that is something that I did notice as well, how last season, Rick Tocchet was a really big proprietor of quick shifts. No BS, you get out there, you chip the puck and you make a hit, you go on the forecheck and then you change. And then they would rotate like this. They'd have a lot of guys cycling through, working hard, battling hard. You'd see Höglander on one line coming out with a big work ethic shift, and then next up off the boards it's Vasily Podkolzin doing the same. That was a pretty big staple of Canucks hockey, and last year was executed in spades to open up the season. This year, they're taking a little bit longer. The shifts are a little bit longer, and guys are overextending, as Tocchet said. If the Canucks are able to tighten down on their line changes and just how long guys are spending out there, then I think there's a lot more to gain from what the Vancouver Canucks can work with in the offensive zone with their forecheck and with their off-puck play. This is why I think it's pretty important to not just have guys stacked up on top. Okay, we'll have all the best players on one line, because every line has a guy that can work hard. Arshdeep Bains with Boeser and Miller, DeBrusk with Petey and Heinen, Höglander and Garland on one line, and then Kiefer Sherwood with Blueger and Suter. Daniel Sprong, unfortunately, was a guy that did not exhibit much of that, and we had seen that even in the expected goals for shared percentage results, that Elias Pettersson was playing a lot better without Daniel Sprong after he got removed from the Pettersson line. We even saw the Lotto line for a little bit of the past week too, so hopefully there isn't as much line shuffling that needs to be done over the next few games here against Tampa Bay and then against Florida, but we'll see what happens tomorrow as the Canucks take on Nikita Kucherov and the Bolts. Speaking about the Florida Panthers, though, this was also tweeted about that I wanted to talk about here too. Take a look at this tweet posted by Dan Murphy. It talks about how the Vancouver Canucks are not going to have Barkov or Tkachuk against them when they play the Florida Panthers. This is because Matthew Tkachuk is going to miss about a week per Paul Maurice. This is due to an illness. They're targeting October 22nd versus Minnesota as Tkachuk's return. Add to this Alex Barkov, who also got injured. It seems like the Vancouver Canucks are going to have a much easier time playing off against the Cats, which is not a big deal for them because the Canucks have been playing without Elias Pettersson to start the year. Okay, that is a nasty tweet. Nasty tweet by Arpon. Oh my gosh. That's too savage, man. You're not allowed to say that. That's crazy. Anyways, not saying that the Vancouver Canucks need any handouts or they need any stepping stones to get back to where they were, but at this time, with the team losing 2 games in overtime and a shootout, with the team blowing leads, with the team having this road trip ahead of them, I'm not going to say no to the Vancouver Canucks playing off against a Florida team that doesn't have Barkov and Matthew Tkachuk, 2 of the best players in the league. If anything, hopefully it doesn't put the Canucks in a tougher spot. Oh, we're not playing against Matthew Tkachuk and Barkov. We can take it easy. That, I think, would be the worst example of Rick Tocchet hockey backfiring on the Vancouver Canucks. Not that it has necessarily done that, but it's just the team is not living up to it. You know, last year was such a hard template that was followed and disciplinedly put out there that this year to see the changes and to see them not really living up to that hype, I mean, Tocchet said it himself. They were good last year, so maybe this year they're getting a little bit lazy. So we'll see whether or not the Vancouver Canucks are able to overcome that against Tampa tomorrow. We'll see if they're able to overcome that against a Barkov and Tkachuk-less Florida Panthers team later in the week as well. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about all of the lineup changes. Tyler Myers, he's in. You've got Arshdeep Bains with Miller and Boeser. You've got Suter with Blueger and Sherwood. You've got Ratu with Höglander and Garland. Lots of movement here. Daniel Sprong seems to be the guy out. For defense, we'll see what happens as the days go on and when the game comes tomorrow. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Vancouver Canucks. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.